Welcome back, everybody. I am Mike Montague, Vice President of Community Engagement at Sandler and host of the How to Succeed podcast. We're really excited to get to do a live one. I don't get to do this very often. I interview sales and leadership thought leaders from around the world every week. It's been over 600 episodes, over 8 years, and over 3 million downloads of the How to Succeed podcast. And yesterday, I did a talk on designing and leading a customer-focused sales process up in one of the breakout sessions, but I don't actually do that much inside of HubSpot, I'm gonna be honest. We have experts at Sandler who do that, like my guest this week,
Hello.
Emily Reggia. She is our enterprise marketing manager, and she's the one that actually does the work, and I just take all the credit and get to talk about the cool, fun things. So we thought we would do this special session here, have a live Q&A. I have some questions I can ask, and we can do a podcast interview, but also any of you that were at the session or you're here watching, if you wanna know some of how Sandler uses HubSpot, this is your chance for the next 30 minutes. And I gave some of the setup yesterday too, but Sandler has over 200 local offices and an enterprise team. So Emily manages HubSpot for the enterprise team, but we also have 200 plus instances of HubSpot all tied together into one gigantic system that we call the data lake. And we try to manage all of that so we can distribute leads and get people to the right places, help our customers. And we also do the sales training for HubSpot. So we train their sellers all around the world and have for the last 3 years as well, and it's been a great partnership. So we do have a lot of different things that we can talk about here today. But we're gonna start with how to design and lead a customer-focused sales process.
Yes.
Emily, you've been helping us with this for a while, and I just want to ask you what your thoughts about the customer-focused part is, because we have a tough challenge at Sandler is it's not in the customer's best interest if we take an enterprise billion-dollar company like HubSpot and we send them to a brand new sales rep as an inbound lead. And it's not great if we send a solo entrepreneur, maybe a HubSpot reseller partner or a marketing agency locally here in Boston, and we send them to our enterprise team. It kind of wastes the time of both places. So you've done a lot of work to help us figure this out. Can you talk a little bit about maybe some of the fields that we chose, how we really take it in the customer's best interest and focus on what we're doing there?
Yeah, I mean, if only it were that easy to just magically get inbound leads every day and hand them over to the sales team, because we know that's what they would love and they would magically convert. But we all know that there is a lot more involved. There's almost an ecosystem that you have to build. And I like to think of that ecosystem very much with the customer at the center of it. It can be so easy to get so zoomed in to what marketing's goals are, what our objectives, our KPIs, and forget that the real heart of the business, the heartbeat of everything we do in marketing is for the customer. And people have become so much smarter. So it's really about getting more personal with them and really about understanding where they are in that customer journey before we even pick up the pencil to start brainstorming ideas for them marketing-wise, before we even start thinking about the channels. We really just have to start by thinking about who is it that we are trying to reach? Who are they? Where are they? Let's talk about them as a person and what's going to matter to them. What are the actual pain points they're dealing with on a daily basis? And let that start to drive what the marketing strategy is. And HubSpot has been awesome with that because it really helps us keep a solid layout of the land so we're able to really segment and organize all of our customers and make sure that each one of the journeys we build for them is going to actually provide value. Because at the end of the day, we all get the marketing emails, we all get text messages, but the ones that resonate most with us are the ones that stand apart from the crowd, the ones that don't sound robotic and templated, that I can tell there is a person on the other side of the screen saying, hey, I saw you went to this university. Hey, I saw that you have this role. Seems like that's a really tough spot to be in right now. Subtle things like that make such a big difference, and it helps us really make sure that we're providing them with a customer journey that's gonna matter to them, and really make sure that we're giving them materials that are gonna add value before we even hand them over to sales. Sales is really excited about getting the money, getting the revenue. It's very, very cool, I get it. But at the end of the day, you have to establish that relationship. That's what's gonna matter to them, and that's what's gonna hook them in with business. I really only do deals with companies that I have a relationship with. And sometimes it can take 1 to 3 months. But that's okay, is at the end of the day, if they choose you over your competitor, that's what's important.
Yeah, I love that. Great stuff there, and there's a lot of things to unpack. I mentioned kind of 5 ways that Sandler works to customize our HubSpot instance from the marketing and sales sequences to make sure that we have the best conversations possible and we get the right leads to the right place. But since we have a live audience here, I think we need to use it. So based on our opening remarks here, any questions that you had from the sessions yesterday or you have right now that you would love to ask Emily or I? Anybody? Yeah, go ahead, shout it out. Oh, there we go. The official microphone, I love it.
Thank you, first of all, for opening this up so early. But I'm just really curious about if you guys have any thoughts on what Yamini said yesterday. People don't want to convert on the website, they want to converse. So would love to hear more about that.
That's a great question because I do have 2 thoughts on that. I'm gonna let Emily handle the converse on the website part and the conversations that she was just having, because when you were talking, I love that we use retargeting. We use account-based marketing as well, and we're doing a lot of things to start these conversations. My specialty is on the sales side of things, and I think they do want to converse. And so we hear stats sometimes as marketers that like they're 93% of the way through the funnel before they reach out to a salesperson. Well, guess how much 93% of a sales check commission you can cash? That's 0. So at some point they do want to talk to a salesperson, especially in an enterprise sale or something that's big or complicated. If it's something you can sell on Amazon, great, they can do that. But they do at some point want to have a conversation. So that could be with a robot, it could be with the salesperson, in my opinion. But I think we need to be really careful about how we assign our human capital and our technology, because if they want to talk to a human, they can get really frustrated with a robot or an automated machine. And so we work really hard at matching those up. That when they do want to talk to a human and they do need a conversation, they have a difficult question, we get them as fast as possible to somebody that can have that conversation with. Emily, your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think that Yamini made a great point about wanting to converse on websites, and it's been something that actually really hit home with us this past year. We really took a step back and wanted to look at our website from the eyes of a customer. Because we think on the back end, we have it all figured out. We think we have data, we think we know you, but at the end of the day, watching people actually visit the site and watching them work through it was eye-opening, because we realized that what we thought they were going there to find, what we thought they were going there to do, was very different than what they were actually doing. So it started to become less about trying to use the website as this massive conversion tool, and we started thinking more about, okay, where do people who are top of the funnel, really, where are they starting to look on our website? Are they looking at our insights? Do they just want free resources? And that's why they're filling out forms. What pages do we have that are more middle of the funnel? Because somebody might visit our pricing page. Somebody who visits your pricing page is probably starting to weigh their options at that point. What the data really shows us is that obviously if they are looking at pricing, looking at scheduling, looking at your store, looking at your shop, they're obviously looking at you as a contender in a purchase decision they are making. So we start to think, okay, what pages on our website are gonna give them that really good interaction? Does it make sense to have forms there? Does it make sense to have a bot there? What does that role of the chatbot look like? Because where they are on the website is gonna tell you a lot about where they are in the journey. And really using strategic pages on your website to almost take them on that journey, to really meet them where they are and kind of help facilitate them down the funnel is huge. And we have on our website a Let's Connect page. And we call that our bottom of the funnel page where we ultimately want to drive you. But it's really about, taking them on that journey with them and making sure that if we do a chatbot, it's going to answer their questions and let them kind of make their own decision about when they're ready to convert. Maybe they do want to talk to somebody first. Maybe they do want to just fill out a form and get a resource. But we start to really unpack that data and use the website to start having those conversations early and giving them a chance to get to know us in their own speed, in their own time, and give them options to have those conversations. A chatbot's great. Sometimes having a phone number, I know that can sound archaic, but a phone number is still something that we see in our network is huge, because sometimes you're right, people get lost in the shuffle with forms. They just want to talk to a human being. So having all of those options, having a meeting link, is going to really help them have different ways to engage, but also thinking about your website and making sure it reaches them where they are in the journey.
Now you know I have Emily up here to back me up on all of that, because I love it. I think that top, middle, and bottom of the funnel was amazing to me, that there may be some at the top of the funnel that you can handle, and they're easy questions you get all the time. People just want to know, how much does it cost, where is it, how long does it take, or things like that. And then there are also other ones at the bottom of the funnel, which we do a lot of event-based stuff like training. They want to know what time the event is, and those are easy, repeated questions that we can answer and handle a lot of. But there's also that point where we want them to be able to jump out of that and just at any time say, like, help, I need a human, or I need to build consensus with a decision-making committee, because there's 7, 8 people deciding on where they're spending their training dollars. That's a lot different discussion that the AI robots are not yet ready to handle. So great stuff. And I love the click tracking that we've been doing this year. It's so cool. We're lucky enough to get some cool resources like that we have caller ID on our website. We can see who's going there, but we also have people doing surveys, and we have people that we're watching their click flow and where their eyes go and where their mouse goes on the page. And you can see, based on where they are in the funnel, they're looking for completely different stuff. And the website hosts so many different people that you can get really sophisticated. And that was a great question to start us off.
That was awesome.
So before I ask another one, you got one?
I do. You mentioned Humantic AI yesterday, and that was really helpful for some things that I'm looking at. I was wondering if either of you have any other tools, AI or not, that you found super helpful to really boost some of those growth efforts.
I'll talk a little bit about Humantic AI first. That's our partner for the DISC behavioral styles, basically personality enrichment in your HubSpot instance. So they have HubSpot integration. The AI will take somebody's email, go look up their LinkedIn profile, and then figure out what kind of DISC profile they are based on the roles that they've had, the things that they posted, anything they've written online, and then we'll add that to the contact record under a field for DISC profile. Then we can segment out our sequences in marketing and put the high D people that want the right, information right now, give it to me, give me the bullets, give me the 30,000 foot view. We put them in a different funnel than the people that are like, I want the details, give me the case studies, the research reports, the data and statistics. They get a completely different set of marketing challenges. So that one is really cool, and it's AI based. That will actually help you with the generative text rewrite those 4 different campaigns. So we can do the industry one, and then it will help us write the copy for the D profile or copy for the C profile, and it's been really fun. I'll give you second crack at this one. Other tools that we've been using, I know I mentioned several shout outs to partners and people yesterday.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorites?
Yeah, we honestly do kind of a mix. At the moment, I personally do use ChatGPT. I'll use the pro version. I like it because I get past my writer's block with it, and I think it's a really great way just to get the thoughts rolling, the ball rolling. Oftentimes, what I'll do is I'll have it write prompts, I'll have it write messages for me, but I'll go back in and I'll kind of give it that human touch. I'll say, okay, that sounds really cliche, or that is 100% robotic, like nobody's gonna fall for that. So a lot of times it's adding that human touch to the AI to kind of help customize those messages. And a lot of times too, we also use something called 6 Sense, and they are an account-based marketing platform. But what they do is they have a system that goes across the network, across the internet, and it will find a lot of those different personality traits. It will find a lot of what they're doing, what their historical job opportunities were, where they were working in the past, their different job titles. And it does come back with recommendations for the outreach. So it will say, this person is really highly organized and focused. Recommend just reaching them quickly on LinkedIn. Recommend just sending them a quick note on, on Teams. Recommend just sending them a short, quick blurb or message. So that's been a really cool tool that we've used not only from a predictive AI perspective, but it actually does give you recommendations in terms of how to message to certain people, and it takes a lot more into account. I feel like it's a much more well-rounded recommendation too, because you can only go so far with what people professionally put on LinkedIn, but when you have someone looking at your Facebook, your Instagram, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a slightly different person on each one. So getting that collective view of a person, I think goes a lot further than just sometimes the LinkedIn, because everybody looks good on LinkedIn. How many of you have a professional headshot? I don't have that on my Facebook. So it's just really great to use something like that to actually meet the person in a genuine way.
I have two other things that I would add to that. So one, we have a partnership with DealIQ is the tool, and you can reach out to your Sandler trainer because I know you have one and ask about this. But DealIQ is predicting the likely outcome of your sales forecast based on everything we know in HubSpot about all of the information and everything we can collect about the customer and their situation. So there's 7 different categories of questions, and there's multiple questions in each one, so it adds up to like over 30 different markers that we can collect these data points. And rather than taking the salesperson's word for it, like finger in the air, it's about 75% chance on this one now, boss. We got past the RFP part, so it's looking good. This will actually say, if you have this specific information, if you have more than 3 decision makers in HubSpot, you have a 50% greater chance of closing this one. Or based on where we are in the pricing budget and how much information we've uncovered, we have a 73% chance of winning this deal. And using AI to do that on things that you can't take a human's word for, I think is really, really smart. The other thing I was gonna add is that I'm in content marketing, so I use a ton of AI tools to take podcasts like the How to Succeed podcast. I upload the audio recording to a tool called Podio, and it automatically does the transcript, writes the title of the episode, the description, social media posts, an email post, and a blog post with chapters and the different questions broken out for me. I take the video version we post on YouTube like this, and it will create the chapters for highlights. So it'll say, here's where we answered this question about AI, and it just takes this 5-minute snippet, but it also does like 25 different versions of 1-minute shorts that we can post on social media. So it'll say, here's that 60-second answer. Here's this 45-second clip where Mike said something really smart like this. And we can use that on LinkedIn, Facebook, Snapchat, all the great reels and stories that we need for the 1-minute short. So I love tools like that that just make our job so much easier. Sandler has a whole bunch of other technological partners. Some of our people I saw around here, Fred, they'll be hanging out here at the booth. If you actually want to ask about any of those, we have a lot of partners from assessments to technology tools. You know, obviously HubSpot is one, which is why we're here. But anything we can do to help sales teams get better data, make better decisions, and inform their training too. So we have people take online assessments, and then rather than giving everybody the same training, we'll put the beginners, newbies through the essentials program. We'll put the advanced salespeople through another one. And even individual, like if you are really great at prospecting and you're likable and you're outgoing and everything, chances are you're not a really tough negotiator. Like those are kind of opposite skill sets. And if you're a really hard, C-level negotiator, you're probably not the person we want to put out here networking at the booth. That's just the way it works. So by doing analytics like that and getting some objective feedback on really who's best for which client or who's best for which role can really help a company's sales team grow. Anybody else? Questions we have so far? Anything from the audience? Or should we roll this back a little bit? We got about 5 minutes left, so this is your last chance. We're happy to stay after and ask other questions though. Over here.
I would just love to hear a little bit more about some of the sequences that you guys are on, like how many steps you have, if it's like email, call, just a little bit more, and like how Humantic AI plays into that.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness.
You go for it right away. What kind of sequences, how we do these things, and how we...
Yes.
The Humantic one was these D-style sequences where we'll put the customers, as I mentioned, into these different buckets, and then they get different sequences based on
where they
which
fall.
personality are and where they are in the top, middle, and bottom of the funnel, and which programs they're looking at. So whether they're in leadership, in sales, or in customer success, it gets really complicated really fast. I think that's where generative text helps us build all of these out. But also, well, I'm glad that I don't have Emily's job. So I'm going to stop talking and let her talk a little bit about how we use some of these.
Yes, so we actually have, I'd say, about 10 active sequences right now. And we kind of came to that through testing a lot of them. And we found that the best middle ground spot in terms of the length was between 7 to 10 steps. And the reason for that is our sales cycle tends to be a lot longer. So you think about once a week we're sending them an email, or once a week you have a touch point. For us, we do like to kind of mix in different types of outreach. So we'll typically have them send an email, but then we'll say follow up with a call, then send a LinkedIn connection request, then follow up, the next week or two on that email and just send them something else. Then send them a vidyard where they can actually record themselves. It puts a face to the text and it makes it more personable. But for us, we found that doing that was the right balance between not annoying the person and pushing them further away, but also piquing their interest. Because by the time we get down to that 7 or 8 or 9 step that we're kind of alluding to as the conclusion, usually we give them, hey, would you like to subscribe for more? Do you want to chat? Do you want to just be invited to monthly webinars? We sort of try to give them a chance to say, hey, we don't want to keep bothering you, but here are some different ways you can stay in touch. And oftentimes one of the big keepers there is the meeting link. It's like, hey, even if you just have questions, want to chat for 15 minutes, just book a 15-minute call. And that seems to do really well. We do actually get a lot of people who use that and who book off of it, just because suddenly it's like, hey, seems like you've been okay getting these, but we're just making sure we're not bothering you. And if we decide to stop them, a lot of people either want the monthly invites, they want the new content, or they say, yeah, I do just want to talk for 15 minutes. So that seems to be the sweet spot for us.
I wanted to highlight that a little bit because I mentioned yesterday in my talk, the mutual consent from the seller and the buyer is a huge thing for us. We don't want to sell to anybody that doesn't want to be sold to.
Right.
And it's also rude to not sell to somebody that does want to be sold to. So they always opt in to all of these sequences. They can also opt out at any time. That's completely okay. We want to be talking to the right person at the right time. The part I forgot to mention yesterday is that our sellers get the same opportunity. So when we assign a lead, either to enterprise or to our local network, both sellers get a chance to say, this one is not qualified. Put it back in the marketing sequence.
Right.
I'm not calling them, or it's too small for enterprise, or it's too big for a local market. They have to accept every lead that we send out. And sometimes that can be frustrating for us as marketers, or we disagree, but that's their choice. If that's not how they want to spend their time, they don't have the right to do that. That's great. We'll remarket to them. We'll come up with something else and figure out another way to handle those. But I think it's a really important step that a lot of people don't do very often, is making sure that people want to be in those sequences, they want to stay there, and when they do want to talk to somebody, does the salesperson want to talk to them, or do we need to find out another solution? And the other one I highlighted in gold up here is that feedback. So at the end of these sequences, Emily mentioned as well, we want them to say, do you want to stay in it? You want to go through another sequence? Do you want to change the topic? Do you want to opt out? What was your feedback on that content we sent? And the salesperson as well. You had that conversation with this lead. How did it go? Are we putting them back in the funnel? Are we putting them in a smaller pond? Or is this one, going through the sales process after that? I thought those are really cool parts of the entire plan, is the before and after.
We have 4 sequences that are based on that disc style. So it kind of, tries to talk to them in a way that's going to resonate based on what we've found personality-wise. We've got 4 that actually speak to them persona-wise, just because we have 4 target personas on the enterprise side where we want to really tackle the pain points of people in different roles or positions. And then we also have 2 that are kind of our nurture. So there's one that we have actually that's at the very top of the funnel. That's kind of like our hook nurture, get you involved, get your foot in the door, see you took a certain amount of actions to get enrolled in this sequence. So clearly there's some level of interest. But we also have one too that's at the bottom of the funnel that's running now, that's the newest edition. Because a lot of times, if you're like me, you can be very indecisive. And with your company, depending how complex the purchase is, sometimes people can start to either doubt themselves, feel nervous, they start thinking about the buying committee that they've got to get involved. And we wanted to make sure that we were addressing those needs too and helping them have the tools to feel comfortable at the bottom of the funnel to say, yes, I am ready.
Emily, that was so awesome. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. Our time is up here, but obviously we'll be around. I mentioned the How to Succeed podcast. We're going to include this as an episode on there. Our YouTube channel, Sandler Worldwide, has a ton of great free resources as well. And we have this call to action. Again, it's a QR code, or you can go to sandler.com/inbound, and you can steal our sequences. So you want to see more about what they look like? Jackson is the rep on the account. We've tagged all of these for inbound, and we promise we won't market to you. I just told you that consent is important, so you can opt in or opt out at any time. But steal any of our language, use it. That's why it's here.
Feel free.
See how we do some of these things and test that we're walking the talk that we just shared with you. And we would love to know more about you as well. So you can add Emily Reggia on LinkedIn or Mike Montague,
don't bite,
or
I
just
promise.
follow Sandler on anything. And we really appreciate it. Thanks for coming out.
Thank you,
Have a great week.
guys.
Good
Let's
selling.
give Emily and Mike a hand. Great job. Thanks, guys. Amazing. Amazing.